Now in this video, I'm going to walk you through each of the 9 types core motivations and also give you a little extra piece of information to help you to fully understand that personality type. Well, now that you know what the Enneagram is and why it's so important, I want to introduce you to the 9 Enneagram types and to help you to find yours. In our last video, I mentioned that each Enneagram type has 4 core motivations. This is the driving force behind why you think, feel, and behave in particular ways. Well, the 4 core motivations are the core fear, what you're always running away from, the core desire, what you're trying to obtain and to get. Then you have the core weakness. Now, this is like your Achilles heel, your thorn in the side, the thing that keeps tripping you up. And then you have the core longing. This is the message your heart longs to hear and experience. Now, remember, the Enneagram is all about why you think, feel, and behave in particular ways. So as I go through all 9 types, maybe have a piece of paper nearby or your phone notes open and see which one really resonates with you. And remember, this is why you do what you do. So think about when I get frustrated or activated, why? And this can really help you to nail down which one is your main Enneagram type. Oh, and also you can print off a free PDF on the 9 types core motivations by going to yourenneagramcoach.com/core motivations. All right, so type 1. We call the type 1 the principled reformer. And a type 1's core fear is the fear of being bad, evil, corruptible, and wrong. Now, their core desire is to have integrity, to be good, ethical, moral, and right. Now, their core weakness is resentment. They resent their anger because to them, anger is bad, evil, and wrong. Now, they're repressing their anger, which leads to continual frustration and dissatisfaction with themselves, others, and the world for not being perfect. Now, type 1s are not walking into a room, a lot of people think this, but they're not walking into a room trying to find imperfections. It's their inner critic that points and assaults these imperfections at them. And for them, it can be very frustrating because they have this loud, berating inner critic. It's like a megaphone at their ear. And they're thinking, why is no one else fixing this or seeing this or taking care of it? Why am I always the one that has to do the right thing, to be the adult? So you can see where the resentment builds up because to them, they feel they have to fix everything in order to get their inner critic to stop berating them. Now, the type 1's core longing is to hear, you are good. So an overview of type 1 is that they are very responsible. They're always striving to do the right thing. They walk through life focusing on how to improve everything around them. Now, the type 2s are the nurturing supporters. Now, the type 2's core fear is the fear of being rejected, unwanted, thought worthless, needy, insignificant, dispensable, or unworthy of being loved. Now, they desire to be appreciated, loved, and wanted. Now, their core weakness is pride. Now, this is where they're denying their own needs and emotions, and they use this amazing intuition, like antenna, to discover and focus on the needs and the feelings of others. And then they confidently insert themselves and insert their help, their support, their advice into others' lives in hopes that others will see how helpful they are and be grateful and appreciative of all that they're doing. And their core longing is to hear, you are wanted and loved. So an overview of the type 2 is that they seek satisfaction by trying to help others in certain ways because deep down, they struggle to believe that they are loved and wanted unconditionally. They think they have to help, they have to support in order to receive the love that they're looking for. And so that's why you'll see them confidently insert themselves, especially the more they feel unloved and unwanted or unappreciated, the more they're going to insert themselves. Now, type threes, we call them the admirable achiever. Now, type three's core fear is being exposed or thought of as incompetent, inefficient, worthless, and they fear failing or appearing unsuccessful. Now, their core desire is to have high status, to be respected and admired, to be successful and valuable. Now, their core weakness is deceit. This is where they're deceiving themselves into believing they're only the image they present to others. And so they embellish the truth by putting on a polished persona for everyone, including themselves, to see and admire. They're literally holding up their highlight reel for others to see. So they can have high status, that they can be respected and admired. But it's not always the truth. Sometimes it's not authentic and real. But what they long to hear, their core longing, is to hear you are loved and valued for simply being you. So an overview of a type 3 is that they have a deep fear of being worthless or incapable, which causes them to really struggle with deceit. This is where they hide parts of themselves that they don't want others to see. They don't want it to be exposed. And they want to portray this successful exterior, this certain image. And doing so, they then become unaware of who they authentically are at the core of their being, because they push their feelings and their true identity aside to present the highlight reel or to present a very specific image for others to see and admire. Now, the type 4s are the introspective individualists. Now, type 4's core fear is the fear of being inadequate, emotionally cut off, plain, mundane, defective, flawed, or insignificant. Now, their core desire is to be unique, special, and their most authentic self. Now, their core weakness is envy. Now, this is where they're feeling that there's something tragically flawed or something missing inside them that is foundational. And they look around and they're like, others possess these qualities that I'm lacking, and it creates this envy. But their core longing is to hear you are seen and loved for exactly who you are, special and unique. So now an overview of the type 9 is that they bring unique beauty, depth, creativity, and the understanding of the world around them that others just don't see. They have deep and rich emotions. They embrace a wide range of emotions and experiences, and they are tuned in to a profound layer of despair and suffering that they bravely go to these places for themselves and with others. When others are suffering, it is no problem for the type 4 to be there with them and to engage in that space, not trying to cheer them up, but just to be there with them. And they love to bring about the unique beauty that surrounds us all. Now, the type 5 is the analytical investigator. Now, type 5's core fear is being annihilated, invaded, thought of as incapable or ignorant, having obligations placed upon them, and definitely experiencing catastrophic depletion of their energy reserves. Now, their core desire is to be knowledgeable, capable, and competent. And their core weakness is avarice. Now here, avarice means that they're feeling this lack of inner resources and that too much interaction with others is going to lead to catastrophic depletion of their inner reserves. And so they want to withhold or hoard or be greedy with themselves and hold off contact from the world in fear of being drained. And so they want to withhold themselves from contact with the world and hold on to their resources and minimize any needs that they have. Now, their core longing is to hear your needs are not a problem. Now, to better understand the type 5, think of your cell phone, okay? So your cell phone has a battery, right? Now, extroverts out there, they have those cell phones with an extra battery case on, and when they're getting depleted, they just hit the button and it's activated and off they go. Their battery is charged. Now, introverts, throughout the day, their batteries deplete as well, and they don't have that way to recharge, but they will recharge later when they get home. But the 5s, they wake up every morning, and instead of having 100% battery life, they have about 25% battery life. And for them, they need to discern how they're going to use that battery reserves and because interactions with others deplete and drain it quickly. So if you woke up every day with just 25% battery life in your phone, you're going to ration out how you use your phone. You're not going to just start watching and streaming Netflix or YouTube or anything like that. You're going to be very aware of how you're using it because you don't know when you get to plug it in next. Now, for a 5, it's the same way. They're going to be very methodical in how they use that energy. Now, the problem is people can surprise them, intrude on them, put obligations on them, and all of those things deplete their energy really quickly. And so you might see them putting up really strict boundaries or kind of pushing people off, which feels kind of cold. But remember, they don't know how they're going to recharge the next time. So it's important to understand that the 5s, they feel this desperate need to hold off too much interaction in fear of that catastrophic depletion. Because to them, if that battery goes down to 0, they don't think they can turn it back on again. And so there's a lot of fear, a lot of hoarding of their energy reserves. Now, this is so helpful for others to understand that this isn't trying to slight relationships. It's about protecting those energy reserves. Now, the type 6s, they are the faithful guardians. Now, their core fear is the fear of being without support, security, and guidance. They also fear being blamed, targeted, alone, and physically abandoned. But their core desires is to have security, guidance, and support. Now, their core weakness is anxiety. Now, all 9 types can be anxious. That's not what we're saying here. But for them, they're constantly scanning their horizon to predict and prevent negative outcomes, especially worst-case scenarios. They tend to remain in this constant state of apprehension and worry. But their core longing is to hear and experience you are safe and secure. So an overview of the type 6 is that these people are so reliable, hardworking, dutiful, and steady people. They have a great sense of humor and an amazing ability to foresee problems that might be coming. They are fiercely loyal to those they are committed to, and they are incredible team players. And they are the kind of people that you want to have in your group to support and to cheer you on. Now for them, yes, they see all the possibilities, but what you also need to know is they have an inner committee. The type 1s have one loud inner critic, but the 6s, they have this inner committee that's chiming in from all different perspectives, which creates indecisiveness, self-doubt. So they look outside themselves to find the guidance and the support and the safety that they need for themselves. Now the type 7s, they're the enthusiastic optimists. Now, type 7s fear being deprived, trapped in emotional pain, limited, bored, and missing out on something fun. Now, their core desire is to be happy, fully satisfied, and content. But they struggle with the core weakness of gluttony. And this is where they're feeling this great emptiness inside, and they have this insatiable desire to fill themselves up with experiences, stimulation, and all in the hopes of finally feeling completely satisfied and content inside. But the problem is that it's almost like they have this empty bucket inside and they're like, hey, that's no problem. I'll go get this thing and I'll get that thing and this will be fun. And they're going to put all these experiences and stimulation inside to fill it up, to feel satisfied and content. But there's holes at the bottom. So all of this frenetic activity to have fun, yeah, it's fun for the second, but it's fleeting. And so for the 7s, that insatiable desire never stops, but they love to reframe into the positive, like, it's okay, we'll just go to the next thing. And they're always planning the next fun thing. And so for the 7s, we need them to recognize we want you to plug up those holes. And the way we do that is through gratitude and seeing the blessings that they currently have, to savor the moments right now, not always being off to the next thing in their mind, but to be in the present moments and savor all that is for them. Now, the core longing of the 7 is to hear you will be taken care of. So an overview of the 7 is that they radiate positivity, happiness, and internally, though, what we want you to know is that they have this longing, this fear of missing out, this fear that they can't fill that void. And so they see the sweeter things of life as if, like, oh, I'll get that. But it's like cotton candy. They take it, but then it's instantly gone and it doesn't fully satisfy. And so they struggle to find things that are going to fill these gaps and to be substantial, to hold the satisfaction that they're looking for. And so they fear looking at anything negative or sad or being trapped in emotional pain. So they're always off to the next fun thing. But for 7s, we need them to be in the moment, to savor it and experience for what it really is. And the type 8s, they're the passionate protectors. And type 8's core fear is the fear of being weak, powerless, harmed, controlled, vulnerable, manipulated, and definitely left at the mercy of injustice. Now, their desire is to protect themselves and those in their small inner circle. But their core weakness is lust or excess. And they're constantly desire intensity, power, pushing themselves willfully into life and experiencing everything big and with a lot of gusto. Now, their core longing is that they hear, "You will not be betrayed." So an overview of type 8 is to think of 8s as a big diesel snowplow that you find in the north. You know, those big diesel snowplows that if we didn't have them, we would get nowhere. They're plowing a path on the behalf of others. We need those change agents, those leaders, those people that are seeking to protect and to bring justice to those that are marginalized, those that don't have the power and the strength to do it themselves. This is where 8s are remarkable. When they see that others have a need, they get them behind them and they plow a path on their behalf. But they can also exude this intensity and this passion in a place that's not as healthy and start to nick people on the side of the roads or plow over them completely. And sometimes not even knowing it because they have this big energy and this big bravado to help others. And so for 8s, it's good for them to recognize, hey, you've got this gift, to make sure that you're using it in the way it's designed. Get everyone behind you and plow the path for them. Now, our type 9s, they're the peaceful accommodators. Now, type 9s, their core fear is being in conflict, any kind of tension or discord, feeling shut out, overlooked, and definitely losing connection with others. Now, their core desire is to have inner stability and peace of mind. But their core weakness is sloth. Now, this isn't physical laziness. In fact, some type 9s are some of the busiest on the Enneagram. But this is an inner not knowing, an inner slothfulness, where they remain in an unrealistic and idealistic world of peace so they can remain easygoing and not being disturbed by their anger. So what they do is they fall asleep to their own passions, abilities, desires, needs, and worth by merging with others. They're constantly focusing on the agendas, the desires, the wants of others, and going along to get along. Now, their core longing is to hear your presence matters. So an overview of the type 9 is that the 9s, they're very easygoing, non-judgmental, patient people who long for harmony with others and their environments. And they can see all points of view. They love to keep peace, and they're agents of reconciliation. They know how to bring people with different perspectives together and to bring a sense of calm and empathy wherever they go. Now, type 9s, they struggle with knowing that their presence matters, that people want to hear from them. And it's important, it's vital that the type 9s see that their presence matters and that they show up as these change agents for peace and harmony that the world desperately needs. But in their mind, they think, nope, I'm not going to show up. People don't want to hear me, or I don't want to cause conflict. But it's the very thing that creates the conflict or doesn't bring the healing that the world needs. Well, after listening to all the type summaries, did one clearly ring true for you? Or maybe you have 2 or 3 types that you related to. Now, it is common for people to look at the behavior, oh, well, I do this and I do that. But they're not looking at the inward reasons to those actions. And that is what the Enneagram is all about. It's all about the reasons, the why. So to discover your type, you always have to go back to the core motivations. Don't forget that. That's key. And with that free PDF that I created, you're going to see all the 9 personality types there. And a great thing that you can do is to rank them. Yes, this is the one I resonate with the most with. number 2, maybe less often, all the way to ranking it from 1 to 9. And then take a step back and look at them. And maybe if you're still unsure, try one on for a day or so and to think, are these the core motivations that are truly reflecting why I think, feel, and behave in particular ways? Maybe take some time to journal. What are the motivations, the thoughts, and the feelings that I have in these moments of life? But most importantly, be patient with yourself. Discovering your main type isn't always easy. We use all 9 types to varying degrees, but one reigns supreme. So be patient with yourself in finding which one is truly representing you. Now, people who take the longest, this is important, the people that take the longest and really chip away at it, understanding themselves, often are the ones that grow the most because they have to do the work. They have to get to know themselves. Now, mistyping happens all the time. Some of the best teachers out there have mistyped themselves. Now, I have a free mistyping guide that you can download and look at yourenneagramcoach.com/mistypes. So if you're stuck between 2 types, take a look at that PDF. Finally, watch the next 9 videos where I'm going to walk you through in a little bit deeper format on each of the 9 types. And there, I'm sure you'll find which one is your main type.